Hello. Welcome to the 22nd episode of Rachel Pilcher Writing Workshops Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Our topic for the evening is called Creating Your Editorial Calendar. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about what I have coming up with Rachel Pilcher Writing Workshops. Every Wednesday, I have begun hosting a virtual writing hour starting at 6:30 Central Standard Time. So if you're interested, make sure to go to the RachelPilcherWritingWorkshops.com website and check it out. Coming up this Saturday, I have a 3-hour-long workshop that's going to be done through Zoom, and it's called So You Want to Publish a Book. And basically the reason why this workshop was created a while back is because I've had quite a few people that come up to me and they're like, I want to publish a book. What do I have to do to get it done? And I ask them how far along they are on their writing of the book, and they haven't even written a word. So what this workshop's going to do is it's going to take you through the process of what you have to do to get your manuscript prepped and get you all the way to making a decision as to how you want to actually get that book published. So that's going to be this Saturday, February 16th, starting at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It will be through Zoom. You can find out more about that workshop on the RachelPilcherWritingWorkshops.com website. And finally, I announced this last time as well, but Panther City Review Issue 4. I am the publisher with Sleeping Panther Press. I edit Panther City Review. It's a literary journal. I am now open for submissions for Panther City Review Issue 4. And that will be open through Monday, April the 29th. So you have quite a bit of time to get your work in. And if you haven't written anything, you have time to get it written, get it edited, get it ready, and get some good ideas down of what you would like to submit. The theme this year, since it's my word of the year, is focus. So it needs to have some sort of thing to do with focus. And it doesn't have to spell it all out. If I can read it and go, okay, yeah, I see where the focus is in that, it will probably be okay. So for more information and to submit, go to PantherCityReview.com. PantherCityReview.com. So let's go ahead and get on tonight's topic. I know I've talked previously about creating an editorial calendar, but I wanted to give you a little more detail about what that actually means. So you can create an editorial calendar in several ways. You can do it as a paper calendar. You can use a Google Calendar. You can use your phone. There are all kinds of places where you can create a calendar. You can use a calendar. I've showed this before, but I have a planner. My planner is a 5-year planner. So I have an idea. I do have some things planned already for 2020, but most of it it's as I go, as I start saying, oh yeah, I need to add this, I go in and add on my calendar. But what you'll want to do to create an editorial calendar is you'll want to start with the end in mind. That's always been my motto in life and in working in my business. You start with the end in mind. What do you want to accomplish? And you go to that deadline date. So if it is like with Panther City Review, I'll use that as an example. I know that I am going to have the launch in connection with a local festival that's going to be going on in November. So I get my calendar and I go to November, and I don't know the specific date yet, but I do know that I have it. So you can't really read it, but I have it in my notes section of where, when I need to have the final product done for the launch. And I just noticed my mother said, hi Sandra, hello mother, it's good to see you, thank you for joining. So what I do is I put that deadline in. It's like I have to have the journal printed, copies of it, ready to go right then. So I put that date down sometime in November, and then I flip and I go backwards towards the date that I am now. So I have for October, I have a couple of things that are listed. So I have, like, for October 5th right here, I have submit for printing. And then I have for the 12th, which is the next Saturday, to do my final proof. I do my printing through Amazon, so it makes it really easy to be able to get the proofs in pretty quickly. Now it was CreateSpace previously, so it kind of I'm working at trying to figure out what the dates are, so I'm giving myself a lot of leeway. I'm being very conservative about how much time I'm going to be spending on this. So whenever I get my final proof, then I have the next Saturday where I'm going to order my books. That way everything is going to be ordered in October, which means I have to have the manuscript finished in September. So then I flip to September and like, what day do I want to give myself the absolute latest to finish that manuscript? And knowing how long it takes for me to do things, that is going to be plenty of time, because I am going to notify all of the people, and this is a heads up if you plan on submitting to Panther City Review. I will be notifying everyone by July the 27th, which is a Saturday, as to whether they've been accepted into issue number 4. So I have that listed. Notify all submissions accepted to Panther City Review number 4 for Saturday the 27th of July. So that gives me a lot of leeway. Depending on how many submissions that I have, it gives me time to read over, to decide what I want to include, to write critiques of those who did not get in. I usually try to do that because I think it's a nice courtesy. I appreciate all of the work that people do to get their work submitted and the writing that they do, so I try to provide a critique for their work. So the deadline, I have that in here, the deadline for the submissions is April 29th. So I worked backwards from the day of the launch, when I know I'm going to be doing the launch, all the way back to the submission date. So that's a lot of what I have to do as a publisher. Now, as a writer, I'll just keep using Panther City Review as an example. As a writer, you would go, okay, the deadline for Panther City Review is April 29th. So you put that down in your calendar. And then you'd say, okay, this is the topic. The topic is focus. Today is February the 10th. So I have from today until April the 29th, which is, I didn't count yet, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of weeks, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Sundays. Because it's a Monday that it's due. So you have 11 Sundays to get your submission in. So I have the 29th, and then you have to figure out, well, if I don't have anything written, I need to have time to write that, to get it critiqued in some way, to edit it, to make sure that it's perfect, and then get it in. So you have 11 weeks to do that. So what I would do is I would spend the month of February trying to craft the story. So that means that you have to have it, your first draft, done and critiqued at least by, I would say, the 21st, that way, of April. That way you could get an idea of, give you a week to make sure if there's any changes that you want. That's cutting it kind of close, I would think. It would be cutting it very close, because I would want more than a week to work on it. But at least by, I would say, the 7th of April. That way you have several weeks to get your work done. So that means you have to have your final draft ready at that point. Get it critiqued, I would say, by the 30th of March, which means you want to have your first draft completed by the end of February. So that would give you 3 weeks to write something that you would want to put into Panther City Review. So it could be a short story, could be a poem, could be creative nonfiction, but it really depends on how fast you know you write. If you know that it takes you a month to get a short story written, then you know you will need to give yourself that much time to get a story written. You wouldn't want to look today and go, oh, there's this contest and the deadline is the 24th, that's 2 weeks, what can I throw together to get done by then? It doesn't work very well that way. So part of it is trying to figure out, well, what do you have time to do? Now, the other thing that I do with my editorial calendar, because I don't just put the stuff for Panther City Review, I put my own personal writing and deadlines in on that. So recently I've been accepted to write for Medium, and I've decided that I was going to give myself a 2-week leeway between when I'm going to turn an article in and when I'm going to write it, and I'm using a lot of my own information on it. It's writing articles about writing, so it's something I kind of know a little bit about. And I'm going to use that to get my articles written. And you know, the articles aren't going to be very long. You know, the maximum is probably going to be 1,000 words. So I use a paper planner. I use a nice big 5-year planner, and let me show you what February looks like. It's really messy, but I write in just basic things in my planner. Now there's a lot of times where I will add, on my phone, I will add a notification to remind me, hey, you need to get this done. Like I have all of my Facebook Lives already planned out time-wise as to when I'm going to do them. So I have an alert that goes off 30 minutes before. Yes, 5 years. I made the mistake and ordered a 5-year planner, but it was only $8, so I thought, hey, that's cool, I'll do a 5-year planner. But in publishing, it helps to be able to look that far out. So I would know, it's like, well, I can't make plans to do something, you know, in September that I know school's going to be interfering with, but also I'm going to be working probably on Panther City Review at that time. So it's always good to be able to just physically look at it and say, okay. It also gives you kind of encouragement going, I'm still working on this, I still have to do it, I put it down in my planner, it has to be done. So that's one of the things that I like to be able to do. So I also, you know, when I showed you my February planner, you're going, oh my God, that's a lot of stuff. Well, the kinds of things that I put in my personal planner, not only do I put the Panther City Review stuff and the publishing things, I put my own personal writing in. So I have my articles that I'm going to be writing for Medium. I have that listed as, you know, every Thursday I have to have something done towards one of those articles. I have to have it ready so I can submit it. It can go through their editorial process, and then hopefully within that next week it'll publish. I have my personal creative writing put down in the calendar. So I write in time to do my personal creative writing. I also write in time for exercise, because if it's not in my calendar, I will say, oh, I don't have to do that. So I have yoga, I have Nia, I have all of the things that I do, and that's like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I make sure I get out and I do something physical. I have times that I edit my short stories. Like I will work on them during this time, but I do specific editing at specific times. So usually on Fridays, whenever I feel like I've had, you know, complete drain from work, I will do my editing part of my work. So I have times where I'm going to be posting on my blog, written into my calendar. So I'm trying to stick to that. A lot of times when I don't stick to it, I look at it, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to write in my blog today. Which means that I add that to the next day and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I got to get this blog post written. So I have that written into my calendar. And I have times that I'm working on my classes. So most of my classes that I'm teaching through Rachel Pilcher Writing Workshops, they're workshops that I've done in person. I'm adding the extra element of a workbook to go with them, just because I need something else to do. But I really like the idea of having a workbook, because it's guiding the people who take the class to take specific notes. It's like, you know, if I'm saying, here is a question that I am asking you, I want you to write stuff down to answer that question. So I have built-in times every other week where I am working on the workbooks for the next classes. So I got the class that I'm going to have this coming Saturday. I actually have the workbook. I have that finished, and I've had that finished for about a month. I am already working on the workbook for April's class. So how do I create my workbook? Well, I am not doing it through Publisher. I am cheating majorly. I use Canva for everything. Canva is my friend, and it's online. I do pay sometimes depending on what I'm adding to it, but everything that the workbook, I can kind of show you some parts of the workbook. Let's see, what do I have? So I have like question pages, and I do my little awning. I think I paid $1 a while back for that awning, and I use it on everything. So, but I do nearly all of my design work I do on Canva. I do book covers on Canva. All of the Panther City Review book covers I have designed. It's a very simple design, so it's easy to be able to do. If you've looked at the Heath Dollar's book that I did, Wayland County, I designed that cover as well because we just wanted something simple, and got the little extra design on it, and I was able to do it. So, but I do the entire workbook in Canva, and I save it as a PDF. So it works really well. I like it because I can just copy and paste, but you know, I mean, it has the lines. I mean, these lines, they were super simple to do. So, but yeah, I do my workbooks. I have that scheduled to work on at least once a week. That way, I know that I can be ahead of the game. So, let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, I have, basically, I put everything that I do on what I call my editorial calendar. And I call it my editorial calendar because most of what I do on there is scheduling time in which I am writing for something or doing work towards a book for something. But I put my personal stuff in there as well. Just because if you, like I said, if you don't put it down in there, it won't get done. And if you have your calendars all in one place, then it works better. I have done some digital calendars, but I just find that that working on a paper calendar, I'm a little bit more accountable because I'll pull that out and I'll look. It's like, okay, here's my month. This is what I need to do. So you definitely do need to plan out your year. And as I said earlier, and you can go back and look at it if you didn't, I know you joined in a little bit later. I always start with whatever the deadline is and then work my way towards me. So make sure that you do that. That way you can say, okay, I want to have this done at this time, and then give yourself realistic times in which you're going to go back and get all of that completed. Okay? Well, I think I've probably I've talked for 18 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the evening. I do want to remind y'all, if y'all are interested in any of my workshops, if you're interested in the writing hour, that can all be found on RachelPilcherWritingWorkshops.com. Panther City Review submissions are now open. That can be found on PantherCityReview.com. And the next time we meet is going to be February 24th. February 24th. Episode 23, and I'm looking at coping with imposter syndrome. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's creative, whether it's in education, whether it's any kind of job that you are doing. You always have that moment where you're like, these people just have no idea I am totally not even good for this. So everybody deals with that. So definitely tune in and we'll talk about imposter syndrome. I want y'all to have a great night. Stay dry. It's a little damp outside here in Fort Worth, and kind of cold everywhere. So just stay warm. Have a good evening. Bye.